Lucy, can you explain yourself?
What do you mean?
I have big problems this week.
You have a lot of big problems.
I know, but this one is to do with my big problem.
What? Is that an innuendo?
It might very well be.
Oh,
because
no.
of your success, we get gifting opportunities. And in one of these gifting opportunities, you have got some shower gel. And
I think that shower gel's glorious.
it is minty.
I love it.
I feel like I have had relations with Jack Frost.
Oh dear. Oh dear. Go on, do you want to tell them the culprit? What's it called?
It is the Body Shop's minty, mentally
Ollie,
shower gel. Do I look like I have it in front of me?
Ali, could you run and tell us? Ali, could you run and tell us what it is?
I could probably just Google it.
No, Ali, just go in the shower, babe. So she's. Bring the product up. Ali's going to bring the product.
You sent her down to go and get the product.
Yeah, well, I really like it.
Like, it smells fabulous. And it's fabulous on the rest of my body.
But don't just put it on your peen then.
Well, you know what? We're in dire straits.
What do you mean dire straits? Just go to Tesco.
I had another shower gel. And then lo and behold, miss, I use all the shower gel every time I go in the shower.
Well,
I
do use a lot of shower gel.
Even though you like the minty one, you decided to use the coconut one, which I was saving
Oh dear, I didn't know there was earmarked shower gel in our shower just for you, darling. We have a shelf that we share.
So this is the Body Shop's #gifted invigorating shower gel in peppermint.
I love that. I think every time I have a headache or I'm stressed, I just put that all over my body and it feels really minty and tingly.
Well,
and it's just beautiful.
I can tell you that tingling's not a pleasant feeling.
I agree, I don't like it.
You don't like it, Al? That's controversial.
I don't like the tingle.
She doesn't like the tingle. Well, I'm the only one that likes it, but Body Shop, thank you for your gifting. You gift me quite a lot, and I'm so sorry that we're having a bit of a moan about about what you sent us. But please keep sending, because I keep using your chamomile buttery balm. I know that's not the technical term for it, but I make it remove with that all the time. The chamomile cleansing balm, that would be the one.
But shall we get on with this episode?
Yeah, go on. I mean, I can't believe you started it with tingly peens, but there we go.
My tingly big problem. To be fair, we ended like the last one on like biggest dickest, didn't we, or something like that.
Roll the intro. This is But I'd Never Marry a Blind Woman.
A show where we answer all the questions you are too afraid to ask about dating, marriage, and finding love with a disability.
I'm Ollie Edwards-Cave, presenter, author of my soon-to-be-published book, Blind Not Broken, and blind wife of...
Me, Ollie Edwards-Cave, her sighted husband, and the man usually behind the camera.
Each week on this podcast, we...
Your fave interabled couple.
Are going to debunk the stereotypes of dating with a disability, dive behind the inspiration porn headlines, and unpack your relationship dilemmas.
So when people say...
But I'd never marry a blind woman.
You can answer...
Well, I would.
But I never marry a blind woman. But I never marry a blind woman. Podcast, baby.
Last night, my boyfriend and I had the worst blow-up fight we have ever experienced over the course of our 3-year relationship, and I need third-party advice on how to proceed. Normally, I would
Ollie.
ask my friends and
Ollie.
family.
Can you just pause? I really don't feel like it's X Factor right now. Normally. You are funny. You do have a good X Factor voice.
You're not a fan of the drama.
Go on, normally.
Normally, I would ask my friends and family, but I don't want them to make judgments based on their personal pity/feelings for me. I have a disease that will slowly take over my body. I've had this since presumably birth, so it's not like this is my first rodeo.
He's lost his place. It's going really well.
Let's
No, I loved
keep
it. I
going.
love it.
I don't want to mention exactly what the disease is, but I know that it causes extreme deterioration of body tissues and parts, mobility issues, cognitive issues, extreme fatigue, and other health risks. Most people with this disease live happy, fulfilled lives that are supported by medication. I, however, got unlucky, as the cheapest medication for the treatment didn't work to stifle my disease, and thus I spent 7 years essentially letting my body eat itself.
Ooh,
That's terrible.
that is awful.
I was unable to move on to treatment due to my place of residence and the insurance I had, as other treatments range from $200 to $1,800 per one shot of dose.
That's
America.
so funny. America, what are you doing?
Your healthcare system.
I know.
Like, this
It
is probably
really
like the
worries
10th time
me.
you guys have heard this today.
I
Like,
know.
but like, seriously,
I know.
get it fixed.
I do worry because it's so expensive just for basic kind of needs. And I love America. I don't want to shade you guys, but oh my gosh, like it would be terrifying to live there.
My luck did change, however, when my boyfriend and I moved to a different place in the country. I had to wait another year to see my new specialist, but it was worth it. When I saw her, she immediately approved me for medical support, got me onto the meds that I needed, and told me that this was the worst case she has seen, considering my age group. Because I was still mobile at that time, I did not go on disability. I was relieved and optimistic that I was finally getting help, and I did begin to feel better health-wise. All this time, I'd been going to university and working. But when I moved, I dropped uni to take a break. I started to work 3/4 of the time and take care of the house/property that my boyfriend and I bought while he works full-time. Being independent and self-reliant has always been extremely important to me. And despite my bad shape due to my disease, I definitely feel like I have pulled my weight in all aspects of my life. This, however, changed when late last year, my treatment stopped working.
Honestly, either treatment stopped working or pain management is the worst because you just feel like you're in a cycle and it's never going to get better and you can't control it. I feel so sorry for you.
It was debilitating.
Yeah.
I couldn't go to work and haven't since December the 1st. I could barely walk, I can't cook, clean, do the dishes, or really do anything that I normally would do or even enjoy doing. Every moment of my life feels like I'm wearing a lead jacket and I'm in extreme pain. Sometimes even bringing a coffee cup to my mouth makes my hands shake so bad from the pain/weakness that I spill it all over myself. I am lucky enough that my boyfriend has helped me through this horrible time. He has picked up the slack fully without any complaint. He essentially waits on me hand and foot, and I hate every second of it. I hate how useless I have become. I hate that I've caused us financial troubles because of my lack of working. I've even deceived my boyfriend about how I've been paying our bills. I told him that I had luckily paid extra on the bills back in October/November because I was anticipating Christmas to be a financial strain. This isn't true. I had to reach out to my father to ask him to send me money from my uni fund to cover them. I even lied to my own father, telling him that I was planning on going back to uni soon and I may need the money for enrollment fees. I lied because I'm ashamed of how bad my body has gotten and how much of a burden I am on myself and others. I truly feel like I have no future, and now I'm worried about my boyfriend's future too. My boyfriend wanted to stay open to the idea of having kids until we settled down in our new place some more, and he wanted to get married. He wanted to do a lot of things with me, but now that I'm looking at my position, I think he would be better off doing those things with someone else.
Oh, that's so horrendous to think.
I've been in and out of doctor's appointments this past month and a half, but all of them are unsure how to help me. All they can do is prescribe me pain medication, write doctor's notes for work, and send letters to my specialist to hopefully see me sooner. My next appointment with her is in February. Yesterday I got back from an appointment that my boyfriend drove me to. Driving has become too painful for me. The doctor was sympathetic but ultimately unhelpful as he had limited experience in what he could offer. I burst into tears over it and my boyfriend was consoling me. I don't know why I said it all of a sudden, but I told my boyfriend that I wanted to break up, and he was shocked. He immediately got angry and asked me why. I told him that I didn't think it was fair, that he had to take care of a 25-year-old who was essentially as helpful and fun to be around as an infant. I then told him he would be better off and much happier with someone else, and that we should just split now before I deteriorate into a living corpse. He kept pushing back, and I finally told him that marriage and kids would be off the table now, and that he should go and find someone else who can bring him those things.
No.
He said, "How dare you think I value things that don't exist yet over you?" And he left the conversation. Now I'm conflicted. I want to break up with him because in my heart I feel like I'm wasting away under a bridge somewhere and hoping I die an early death. I also don't want to throw away the love, happiness, and friendship my boyfriend and I have together. We have a very strong relationship, at least we did. But I would sacrifice my own happiness and his temporary happiness for him to be more fulfilled in his life in the long run.
Okay, number one, a lot of internalized ableism here. A lot of internalized ableism, which I can understand, because when you're first kind of navigating pain again, I know she said she's navigated it before, and she has a condition that means that it ebbs and flows. But I remember standing in front of you and saying, you know, you'd be better off with someone else. And your response was pretty much similar to his.
Yeah, we kind of like spoke about it last week somewhat.
Yeah.
This situation seems quite, not in the same, not exactly parallel, but like the similar emotional aspects.
Yeah, feeling like your life's ahead of you and you're only 25 and you saw a future for yourself in a body that was a lot more quote unquote capable, and you feel like a burden. But I think what I would say is, initially, we need to reevaluate kind of what it means to be independent, because independence looks different for everybody. And I know at the moment you're used to your body working in a certain way, but there is no way that you can, I know, because maybe you haven't necessarily got any disabled people in your life to look up to, or know that you can be completely independent in different ways. You don't have to physically do the things that you used to be able to do to have self-worth. But I know that when you're drowning in all the self-doubt and, internalized ableism, when you feel like you're in a body that isn't made for you or feels really foreign to you, I think you initially have those thoughts of, oh my gosh, my world's over. It feels I'm wasting away, and those are very valid feelings. And I'm glad that you're able to kind of talk to the internet about them. I'm hoping that a disability group would help you eventually. I know you're possibly not ready for that right now from reading your words, but I think getting people in your life with the similar disease and being able to speak to them is number one. Number two, don't be too hard on yourself right now. Like, it's just happening to you and you are just losing function in different parts of your body for the very first time, and you're kind of not being able to do as many things as you're used to. Like, I remember when I first went blind and I had to make a cup of tea for myself for the very first time, and I burnt myself, and I just remember thinking, oh my gosh, what is my body doing? Like, I just don't recognize the body that I'm in right now. But you do find ways. It is a big amount of time that it takes to rehabilitate and get the right, support workers around you. But if your boyfriend is also willing to go on that journey with you, which it sounds like he is, it's really bad to assume, I think, that he would want a life without his person. What about you, Ollie? Do you think that from the boyfriend's perspective?
Yeah,
I used to assume that you were kind of that you needed someone else, because I didn't think you'd have a fulfilled life with me.
Yeah, I'm sort of, I guess, in the similar boat to that boyfriend, in that I wasn't willing to let you go just because of your disability. What I'd say is that she sounds like she's still like the apart from like her physical disability, like her mental capacity is still there. And it sounds like they still have that sort of like, you can still have that banter that has lasted together. Like, you can still do things that are just about the mind, talking, everything. Like, me and you, like, a lot of our relationship is just sitting there and talking and like having a great time.
I agree that day to day, you need your person. You need your person to be able to communicate. That's the number one hack. Well, not a hack to having a successful marriage in life is communication. If you can do that, the rest of it gets a lot easier. So would you say that you would be angry if I assumed that, if I just said, Ollie, I'm not good enough for you, would you be angry?
Absolutely. I would be frustrated that like you were jumping to a conclusion that wasn't in my head. Of course, like there will be like days when like it's really hard and you'll be thinking, oh my gosh, like, would it be easier? But that's not the day to day. And that's not your general mood. That's just like a spur of the moment. Like, and you shouldn't be making spur of the moment, well, big choices on like impulse decisions.
You always said that to me. But also, would you say, because you've always said to me as well that, you know, our kind of navigation was a world of disability, but other couples have other roadblocks, right?
Yeah, of course. Like, there's all sorts of things. There could be financial troubles. There could be like where one of you's lost a job and it's really hard that way, or there could be situations where it might be drinking drugs.
And at the end of the day,
like, they could be lovely but struggling with addiction. Could be gambling addictions. Like, there's all sorts of problems you come across in life. And it also can be to do not just with yourselves. It could be to do with your family around you. It could be to do with, like, one of you has got a very terrible mother-in-law, or you have a kid who's gotten into a car accident and needs support, and that, like, or even like you see a lot of the time that parents split up when their child goes missing or has died, and that, like, it's all of these situations that put huge amounts of strain on the relationship.
this is the thing. I think everyone, if you're in a relationship, you have to compromise in some way. And if you build your sense of self, and it's not going to happen overnight, if you build on how you feel about yourself and be more positive around what you can and can't do now that your body works in this way, it's about adapting and being resilient in order to find different ways to do things. So maybe you need, like me and Ollie have, cleaners in every single week, and that's something we budget for. And for me, I know that I can't necessarily see all the dirt around the house, and I'm never going to be able to. But I don't think, oh, I'm a burden for not being able to clean that in the way that I used to be able to. What I think is, no, you know, we've budgeted and it's coming out the joint, and we're in a position where I can do that and feel very independent with that task because I write a list for the cleaners. I'm very in control of different things around the house. I ask them how, you know, what's around me, like, are the flowers dead that I put in the vase the other week, or they help me put my clothes away and match them so that I'm autonomous then getting dressed. So I've taken control of things in a different way. And even though, like, sometimes I don't have enough energy to make myself a cup of tea, and I say, Ollie, could you make me a cup of tea today? There's other things in my life that I know that I'm taking control over, but it doesn't have to be the conventional way, you know. Would you say that, Ollie?
Yeah.
Would you say we're 50-50?
I'd say so. I think it depends on, like, what task as well. Like, you don't have to be 50-50 in everything. Some days we could be 70-30 on my side. Other times we could be 70-30 on your side.
Yeah, it's true.
It doesn't have to be 50-50 all of the time.
And I mean,
you may be better at, like, financial planning and budgeting.
agreed, which is the case.
I wasn't talking about you. I was talking about our character.
But also, it's what you're interested in. And did you see, I think me and the girls were having this discussion the other day that, there was a video where sometimes you show up and you're 100%. And sometimes you show up and you're 40%. But as long as you communicate and you say, I'm having a bit of a 40% day today, and then maybe your spouse or partner will say, well, I'm having an 80% day, so I'll do a bit more today. And I loved that because it was quantifying energy, and, you know, it's just lovely because you do kind of, I don't know, pick up the pieces for the other one when you're just feeling a bit low energy. And we have that kind of constant communication anyway because of spoon theory and spoons for me, don't we?
Exactly.
But we have your battery power as well.
Yeah, it's sort of like, I don't want to use spoons because that's like a very disabled thing, but I'm like,
Disabled term, yeah.
I am out of energy today. Like, I do not have much to give.
I'm like, you play on the PlayStation, my lovely. I will leave you alone.
Yeah.
R&R. Can you hear doggies? So yeah, I hope that helped. Do you think we answered?
I think we've covered most bases there.
I think it's about definitely the way you see yourself and you reframing you because there's a lot of internalized ableism. And I'm not saying I haven't had these exact triggers before, because you do feel like an imposter in your own body. But yeah, I hope you stay together, and if it's right, you'll know in your heart. And it's like a long road of trying to navigate, you know, who you are now, but it'll get easier the longer you navigate it. Remember, you can email us your dilemmas too, which we haven't had many of. That's why we're doing Reddit posts. But if you do, we can keep them completely anonymous. And you can email
HELP.
That's help at
LucyEdwards.com.
Yay! Oh, we were so in sync then.
Love it.
Okay, so this week we've got a news story
Of the week.
instead of hate comments.
Yes.
Because that's what we'd, I just thought we'd just, you know,
Switch it up.
switch it up and shake it all about.
Switch it up.
So what have you got, darling?
Okay, so we have got the New York Post, which is a highly reputable newspaper. Not at all the US equivalent of the Daily Mail.
Not at all.
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not.
Highly
What
reputable.
could go wrong?
Well, in this case, they got a saucy story for us, though.
Oh, saucy.
A pilot blocked disabled man from boarding flight, wrongly claimed he was a dangerous threat due to wheelchair batteries.
Go on.
Well, what's your first thoughts on this headline?
I don't want to do that because I feel like...
You mean that the New York Post might be sensationalizing the headline?
Yes, I feel...
And you don't want to give a reaction to justify the outrage bait.
Sensationalist. Yeah, please keep going, darling. Do tell.
A Canadian Airlines pilot erroneously... Is that how you pronounce it?
Erroneously?
Erroneously? Erroneously. Told a man who uses a motorized wheelchair that he couldn't board a flight because the batteries connected to his mobility aid presented a dangerous threat, according to a report. Ken Harrower said a Porter Airlines pilot inquired about his power chair and then stopped him from getting on the flight at Calgary International Airport that was travelling to Toronto Sunday.
Can I just say, just interjecting, that wheelchair users often do say that their mobility aids are really manhandled because you have to get out of your wheelchair onto an aeroplane seat, and then they take your wheelchair and place it in the hold, which just jostles about with all of the suitcases and is actually horrendous. So there's so many times when I've seen tweets, but obviously X's posts, of people saying, it's horrendous, my £1,000 wheelchair, I mean, tens of thousands probably, pound wheelchair has broken. And it's because the airline's just been really careless.
Yeah, I've heard those stories too. I've seen them online quite a few times.
And you just think, wow, like having a mobility aid is so expensive already. Like it's expensive enough. Like, could we not just treat this more with respect? And also have more universal design on board so disabled people can be more free when they're traveling? It's honestly horrendous.
Yeah, there's still quite a bit of work to do in the airline industry.
There is.
Like, we've kind of got it, like, sorted down with guide dogs, I'd say. Like, it depends.
Okay,
like,
so
there's technicalities.
Tell people that story.
Oh,
Don't tell them the airline.
okay.
Because we're sorting it out. We did raise it and they apologised.
It was on one of these, like, sort of frog hopper planes. Mm-hmm. So it was London to Scotland in this case. Now, guys, don't recommend doing this. Usually we'd have more time. But
we would.
In this case, like, it was literally, we had a meeting one side that was like a few hours later.
Yes.
So we couldn't, like, travel the usual way. But in this case, we hopped on this airline and we'd already called ahead well in advance, letting them know of the guide dog. Mm-hmm. They said they had provisions for it. Got there. They tried to shove Molly into our footwell where Lucy was already very squished because it was like one of these. It was one of these planes where you have hardly any space, like, in front of you to sit. Like,
and it was two-seaters.
Your knees are already touching the, like if you're over 6 foot, your knees are touching the back seat.
And me and Ollie wanted to sit together, obviously, but it was only a two-seater. So they kind of looked at us and said, well, can't you
stick her in your
footwell and both of you be there?
And then we were like,
Ollie looked back at Molly and then looked back at the footwell room and was like, no,
Yeah.
she's not doing that. She is a huge dog. This is not okay. And then we were like, well, can't you just look at your aeroplane regulations? Because surely we have read before we boarded this plane that, you know, we're entitled to a seat
and
adequate, you know, reasonable adjustments.
well, and also with planes like this, if they don't have space in, like, if they don't have a 3-seater aisle or like it's already quite booked up, they tend to stick you in the very front row.
Yes.
As long as there's not an emergency exit, which on this plane, at the very front, because like we had to walk past it to get in, there wasn't an emergency exit door at the very front. So there was space.
Yep. So you've probably seen both of my videos. There's 2 alternative ways to have Molly. As Ollie said, we could be in the front row. There's a lot more footwell room, as there's not a row in front of us. So she could be, her harness could be attached to a clip that then is attached to my seatbelt. So we'd take one person's room, if you like, although she would have her blanket, her bone and everything on the floor in front of me. And we wouldn't be in an emergency exit, but then Ollie could sit on the chair next to me.
Or alternatively, the seat next to Lucy is then left free, and then Molly sits in the legroom with that.
Yeah. And I would be a few rows behind and I would clip her to the seatbelt of the free chair.
Or you'd be sat next to her and then I'd be behind, or something like that.
Something like that. But they were trying to say that the plane was so full and that they didn't know that we were coming,
Which
that
they
it
did.
wasn't reasonable to
They started like sort
go
of arguing
anywhere
with
else.
you.
And Ollie was just like, mate, I can see that there's front row seats available.
Yeah.
Like, why don't you just put her over there? Like, why can't we just, no, you didn't say put her over there, but why can't you just,
Like-
you know, accommodate us having a stress-free travel situation? And it's just, it's not okay. Like, Molly needs to be not treated like a dog, but a mobility aid in that point. And I think so many people see her as this cute, fluffy thing, and that is absolutely adorable. And I love that. It gives me so much delight to talk to everybody about how amazing Molly is and about what she does for me.
Honestly, top networking
It
aid.
is. It's beautiful, but I just think, wow, like it's already scary getting on a plane anyway. You know, I just want there to be legislation and terms of service in place to protect me having these types of conversations, because I was having to really fight for myself. And in the end, Ollie did sit behind me.
Well, luckily, it turned out that someone hadn't turned up.
Yeah.
So there was a
So he
free
was like,
space
oh,
anyway.
don't worry, someone hasn't turned up. You can sit behind her. It's
But-
like, no, that's not the reason that Ollie should be put behind me. No. That is not the correct response to this situation.
So we got lucky that one time.
Yeah.
But like, well, theoretically, the laws should already be protecting you, but they just were
I agree.
profit first.
But even then, when I go into the toilet of an aircraft, I am so scared. Like, there's no braille buttons or anything around, and I'm sitting there waving about, and Ollie can't fit in with me. So I'm like, oh
we
my
actually
gosh.
did a video on that.
We did. And Ollie has to like shout and go and put my hand on all of the different like bits around the plane toilet before I get in. And then I'm like, oh, okay, I have to remember, which is okay after like several hours, because I've probably been to the toilet several times and then I've learnt my way around, which is fine and dandy. But I'm just like, oh, I'm just thinking about wheelchair users like transferring onto the loo.
Yeah.
It's just hard in that scenario as well. Like, for anyone with a disability, like more tactile raised buttons and a bigger cubicle for carers, like so you can come in with me, would be so much better.
Mm.
And Miss Molly, like you don't like to leave, like I couldn't fit Miss Molly in there with me. And I'd like, you know, you don't like to leave her on like by the seat, do you, on her own?
Yeah.
Because there was one of your eyes was looking at Molly and one of your eyes was looking at me. And you were like standing outside the door.
It's
I don't know.
a
It's
challenge.
hard. It's compromising to you.
It is. It's a tricky challenge.
It
but
must be. You must deal with a lot in that scenario.
it's quite overwhelming.
Yeah.
I'll give you that. Like there is
Yeah.
that. Like, oh, is Molly okay? Is Lucy okay? Is Molly okay? Oh, Lucy's needing the toilet roll. Oh, she doesn't know. Okay, let's try and get in without revealing everyone. Like,
My wife's vagina to the whole plane.
well, I wasn't gonna say it like that, but you know, just like. Say it as it is, Lucy.
I will do, darling. That's what I do. But the thing is that you can't. You kind of subtly try and tap like, Lucy, you ready? And it is kind of asking me like, Is your vagina out, Lou?
Basically, like,
It's just,
especially when it's
The
near the engine
decorum.
and we can't like hear very well. And it's-
exactly. We're
it's
like
how-
shouting at each other.
Yeah, I'm like, Leo, are you ready? And all you can do is.
Literally. And then I'm like, sometimes I forget what he's told me. So I'm like, Ollie, where's the loo roll again? And you're like, to the right. And I'm like, oh, yeah, okay. And then I've found it. Found it. Okay, love. We probably sound like right old. I don't know what I was going to say, really, but
I don't know.
weirdos.
Brits abroad.
I don't know. I just don't want to be put in that situation. But because it's our normal, it's like, ugh, I don't know.
Well, to be fair, like that's quite mild compared to some of the things where I've had to like sort of angle myself slightly so I can see into. Okay, to give context, a lot of the time when we go abroad, or even at certain service stations, you'll find that the disabled toilet is out of order, or there's just no disabled toilet altogether. In which case, I had to send Lucy into the ladies. Mm-hmm. But I can't guide you into the ladies.
Of
I can only
course.
guide you so far.
Yeah.
Into the ladies. So I'll try and use like mirrors a little bit because like I know that they're all in cubicles anyway. It's not like I'm
Yeah.
gonna like see anyone. Mm-hmm. But I'm like, go left,
Go right.
go left. You're right. No, not that far right. Sure, like this way.
And
Sure.
obviously-
And then there's like some ladies coming past. They're like,
Who is
"What?
this
Who
bloke?
is this like bloke peering into the ladies' bathroom, like shouting things? And then
Do
they
you
go
get,
in and they
do
see
you
your.
get looks?
I do. I get quite a few
Do
looks.
you?
But then they see your cane and they're like, oh, okay, he's evidently doing.
The good for society. No, it's just funny. And then, in that scenario, I do tend to collar a woman then once I'm in the loo, and I'm like, hi, could you help me?
Especially when I can't like check to see if the bathroom's clean.
Exactly.
Like,
Oh my
I'm like, oh,
gosh.
there's a turd on the seat. Oh wait, no. Oh, okay, yep, that's
Exactly. That's what no, there's never been a turd on the seat.
yeah, that would be pretty rough.
That would be like,
That's like
I would
nightclub
vomit.
stuff.
Yeah. Nightclub? You've actually been to a nightclub with a turd on the seat? I
yeah,
haven't.
many times. The men's toilet in a nightclub
Oh, don't.
is always disgusting.
Don't.
Like
Anyway,
the later it gets, it's like I've seen the walls covered in this stuff.
Ollie, the disabled toilet on the M1 are just
Oh, yeah.
abysmal, aren't they?
That was pretty bad. Though people
Where was
in the
that?
comments said that was London Gateway Services.
Yeah, and we posted a short late last year, and we were like, this is the worst disabled toilet. Like, most disabled toilets are grim. Like, you walk in and you smell pee. But
There's
Yeah,
usually a
I
nice
just- I
ring
always-
of wee around the base of the toilet. Like, don't drop your trousers too far.
no, don't. But also,
I did that once. That was not good. I was like, oh dear, I've got wee on my trousers. That wasn't in a disabled toilet. That was just in a normal toilet. But like,
in the men's.
yeah, I was. Yeah, that was
Oh
grim.
no, that's horrendous. Yeah, usually Ollie comes in with me and then goes to the men's, and I'm waiting there like, hoo hoo hoo. So funny. Anyway, travel as a disabled person
Yes.
is hard.
Let's get back to our
Yeah.
story. Also, just as another interjection, can we address the fact that, like, when you were talking about Twitter and you said the tweets, exes, it sounded like you were saying that you had loads of exes, as in, like, ex-boyfriends who were tweeting about this.
Tweeting.
Like,
Apologies. I keep calling it Twitter. My mind defaults to Twitter, and then I'm like, oh no.
it's 10 years of
It's
branding.
a weird name.
Anyway, so he asked me, can the batteries be disconnected? I told him no. And then he said, I am a dangerous threat. Then he walked away and left us high and dry. He just went,
What?
you're a dangerous threat. Bye. Also,
How very charming.
is that down to the pilot to say this stuff? Like, I know
Also-
I guess the pilot has final call, but I feel like someone should have maybe flagged.
through the several layers of security he's already been through.
Also,
This is
like
what
the-
I was about to say. Like, going through the metal detectors and everything, surely someone would have pointed this out before he got on the actual
Or the disabled
plane.
assistants.
Yeah. I'm not liking this. I also think, really, if it's someone's mobility aid that is protected in the Equality Act, well, I don't know what the laws are in
I don't know
Canada.
the laws of Canada. But like, hold up, before you go down that path, this is the next weird bit of this story.
Okay.
Harrower was oddly then just booked on another flight by airline staff. Just plopped on, all fine. No problems. Leading him to believe that the pilot had his own set of rules. I felt like I was being discriminated
Hang
against
on.
because
So
I'm in a chair.
So he came off the aeroplane after he said that comment and
So-
went on a new plane.
I don't think they even let him on the plane in the first place. And then they just plopped him on a new plane. So it's evidently not the laws of flying.
Aviation laws.
Yeah, aviation laws in Canada.
Oh my gosh, please enlighten us, guys, because there is a thing in the back of my mind that we can't take batteries on board. But if you're talking about someone's wheelchair, as I said, like I've said this several times in this dialogue
Well,
that
here
we've
we
been
go.
having, it's horrendous. Like there should be some legislation to say you cannot
Well,
talk about a wheelchair in that way or discriminate with a wheelchair user.
again, following on the story, the airline admitted that the pilot screwed up. The captain who made the decision to deny boarding did so based on his knowledge of Transport Canada regulations relating to batteries.
Yes.
And while there are some circumstances that batteries need to be fully removed from wheelchairs, it's not required in this situation.
Of course it's not. What a tool. What an actual tool.
They just need to be disconnected, which ground handlers are capable of doing.
Oh my life, he wrecked someone's whole day because he didn't adequately know how not to discriminate against a disabled
I
person.
just didn't read the rule book. Like,
I hate that. The fact that we can have a really lovely day, we've probably had a really lovely morning, and it's like, oh, boom, you can't get in my taxi because you got a guide dog. Oh, boom, you can't get on the aeroplane because of your wheelchair. It's just like, you can go from the happiest you've ever been to just being rock bottom in like 10 seconds.
yeah, we've had like fantastic dates where we went, oh, let's go for a cute date.
Yeah.
And then we go into a restaurant and they go, no guide dogs here. And then we get into a huge fight with them. And we eventually
I'm
win.
crying.
And then they're like, well, have a seat now. And then I'm like,
No,
no.
we're not staying
no,
here.
no. That's not how it works. And they're like, oh, we'll give you a refund. And you're like, no.
No, we're not paying you to eat here. Even if it's free, we don't
Yeah.
want to be with you. Why would we want to eat with you when my whole entire world, my mobility aid, isn't allowed in your establishment? It's discriminating against me as a person. This dog is allowed everywhere that I go, other than hospitals in an emergency situation. I think it's just urgent care, isn't it, Ollie?
Yeah, I see you.
ICU. That's it. The end. That's the only place that Molly is not allowed. Thank you and good night. Why would we want to be there? Why would we want to be there with some person who doesn't know how to treat people with respect?
I think that's the end of the podcast.
I do too. It's very sad when we end a podcast, but we're going to be back very
Yeah.
soon, next week,
And
on
we'll-
Tuesday.
So will we see them?
We will. We'll see them then.
See them Monday?
On Tuesday.
Next Tuesday?
Ollie, can you not keep doing that? It's just, he's like, the joke's already got really old, and like you still keep doing it.
I was just seeing if I could just get you to slip up.
No,
No?
no.
No?
Anyway, guys, it's been really, really lovely chatting to you again. Remember, send your dilemmas to help@lucyedwards.com,
HELP?
at lucyedwards.com. And wherever you're listening to this, on Apple, Spotify, Deezer, wherever you get your podcasts, just please remember to rate, like, comment and subscribe on YouTube as well.
Yes, and also for the YouTube audience, we
Yes.
have members.
We do have members. So
and
if you want to...
you're a part of our members club,
Yeah.
what did they get, Lee?
Early access to podcasts and behind the scenes, which we uploaded a few last week. It was really cute.
Yes, and a few little shorts as well.
Extra snippets. So yeah, we really hope you do enjoy all of those different perks if you want to see more of our faces and our voices. And yeah, we'll see you next week.
See
Bye,
you guys. Bye.